Greetings, students. I am going to continue our conversation on United States history, part one, and my readings about the indigenous people of this land. And this is the text. Remember, it will be in the message. Just click more, show more. It should say show less or show more. So, here we go. Let's see. Is this where we are? Yes. In the Northeast, the first whites arrived after the 5 Iroquois tribes had established a permanent political union. Their great league, founded in the late 15th century by the legendary Hiawatha and Deganawada, became so formidable that the French and British were forced to negotiate with them as an equal sovereignty. In the southeast, whites encountered the thousands of loosely knit Muskogee-speaking Indians who came to be known as the Creek Confederacy. And many of those indigenous people are, from what I'm told, are in the southeast, and you can look up more of that if you're looking at original maps. And you'll see Georgia, you may see parts of Florida. So I would suggest looking that up, and I'll drop the correct spelling. There are a few ways that it could be spelled in the message as well. And these speaking Indians who came to be known as the Creek Confederacy. In Louisiana, they met as the last remnants of the aristocratic Natchez, whose hierarchical society was ruled by an absolute monarch known as the Sun. In Virginia, they discovered that the Powhatan Confederacy linked together 200 villages and 30 different tribes. Wow. In California, they stumbled upon a seemingly endless succession of independent, isolated groups with widely different languages and bands so small they are better classified as tribelets. These native bands, tribelets, pueblo city-states, nations, and confederacies were as culturally different from each other as the nations of Europe. Most had developed elaborate mythologies with stories for the origin of the rivers, mountains, and valleys in their region. In both the East and the West, their territories were covered with traces, networks of narrow moccasin-worn paths, trails that had been followed by hunters and warriors for generations. In the Midwest and on the Great Plains, their lands were crisscrossed with wider, equally ancient thoroughfares, along which entire tribes intercepted migrating buffalo and cut through mountain ranges. Thus, North America was well discovered by the time Columbus and his kind set foot on its shores, and actually Columbus was not the first European to arrive. In fact, some scholars suggest that the first non-Indians came from Asia. There are Buddhist texts that tell of 5 Beggar priests who sailed from China in AD 458. Drifting on the Japanese current, they are believed to have landed either in Mexico or in Guatemala, a realm they called the Kingdom of Fusang. And it has definitely been established that sometime between AD 1006 and 1347, Viking seafarers from Scandinavia fought and traded with the natives of Greenland, Labrador, and Nova Scotia. I'm going to stop right there. We don't have too much time, but that's just a snippet of more history in this country that you can research on your own, maybe find a great video, maybe look up a document with one of the tribes or bands or clans mentioned, and do a little research on your own. Look at timelines. That's always helpful, but I would say definitely look at some of the maps to try to categorize some of these parts that the indigenous people lived and where most are still populated. So hopefully that made you want to at least do a little more research from just these very brief readings that I'm sharing with you. Thank you for watching.